everybody, this is Miss Richardson. I'm at my house and I've been working really hard getting your portfolios together and thinking about you guys. I hope you're doing well. I miss you all and I hope you stay safe. Bye. You're going to need paper. You can have different color pieces of construction paper. You could use old newspapers or just old scraps of papers you might have laying around your home. Make sure and ask your parents before you cut anything up though. You're going to need glue, scissors, and possibly a Sharpie. You may also use other markers. You may use crayons, pencils, whatever you'd like to use to make your collage. Now, I'm going to get started by choosing the paper that I want to use to make the pet that I wish I had. I have all this newspaper, and I've already cut some of it up. I'm going to show you how to make these strips in case you want to make feathers or some other type of fur. It's really easy to do, and I want to show you this before I get started on my pet. Alright, so you take a piece of newspaper that you like. I happen to use first on this piece I used. This piece I made, I used a Pizza Hut coupon because the animal I'm going to be making is going to have a little bit of brown fur in it. So I wanted to use these colors, but you don't have to do that. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you just on a plain white piece of paper. I think that'd be easiest. Alright, so you take the paper you want to cut and fold it in half. Let me move some of this other stuff. I like to fold mine several times because it saves a lot of time. The shorter you want your fur, the more you want to fold this paper. Let's see, I'm going to fold it one more time so I can get some short pieces. Alright, so then you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut almost to the edge, vertical lines. You're just going to continue cutting. Now, let's say you only have white paper to use and you need different colors. You can use your markers and water, like I showed you before, where you draw on it and then you use water to make the marker spread out over the paper. You can do that, but allow yourself time for it to dry before you start to cut your paper up. I like to use like a variety of thickness on these lines. So some of them are a little bit thicker and some are thin, more thin. Just try to get as close to the edge as you can without actually cutting it apart. If you do cut it apart, it's not a big deal. I'll end up cutting these apart anyway later on. And you'll have to cut the edges of these if you don't want the folds to still be on your fur or feathers that you make. You may not finish this project all at once because it is a little bit time consuming. And I did that for a reason. I want you guys to have things to do when you're not when you're sitting at home. Maybe you're tired of watching TV, you've got all your other homework finished, then you can always come back to an art project and work on it a little bit at a time. Okay, so I've almost got this cut. I'm going to go ahead and cut. See how these pieces are all together? I'm going to go ahead and cut the very edge of them so these pieces spread apart. And I'm just barely trimming the bottom. It's kind of like you're giving a haircut to your paper. I might even use those little pieces that are that I'm cutting off. We'll have to see. And you'll want to make sure that you hold these layers together in order to get them all cut. So now I've got all this fringe. I can kind of take my fingers and separate it a little bit. I might also want to cut this top layer apart. That way I can glue and layer the fringe how I want it on my pet that I want. I could have short pieces. I'm going to go ahead and cut this apart so I have a couple of short pieces. Maybe I want to keep some that are long, but I still need to cut this part across here so I can separate the individual layers, and it'll make it look a little more fluffy or 3D. Alright, so I've got several layers here. When I pull them apart, you'll see there's a whole bunch. If something's stuck together, just pull it apart or cut it apart. I've got all these layers I'm going to use. I've got wide pieces, narrow pieces. Remember, you don't have to make what I'm making. You can make your own. Sometimes it might take you a minute to get them separated because they want to stick together. Wow, I'm getting a lot of them. This is all just from one piece of paper. If you're having trouble getting them separated, you might ask your brother or sister or mom and dad to help you because they like to stick together. Alright, so there's another piece I need to cut. See, I've got another layer here. Alright, here we go. Now, I don't want just white, so I'm going to look through my paper that I have, my scrap paper. Maybe I need green. So here's some green I could use right here. It doesn't matter that it's that it looks like a different object, and you'll see why once we get towards the end. Let's see. I'll keep that there. Maybe I want to do a little more green here. Maybe I need yellow. Don't worry about cutting anything out perfect because you're going to change the shape anyway later of what you cut out. Let's see. Let's do some red. And I can always come back and cut out more later. Oh, I think I'll need these yellow bananas right here. Man, that's going to work out good, I think. Wish I had another set of those. Let's see, what else? Let's open that other side. Oh, I've got lots of yellow on this side. I may end up using this instead. Remember, you may have one thing in your mind that you want to do, and as you're working, your idea might change. So be open to change in your artwork and just enjoy making it. Alright, so for now, I think I have enough scraps cut out. Oh, I found another fringe that I need to go ahead and separate. When they kind of stick together. Alright, I'll pull more of that apart later. I'm going to go ahead and separate this other fringe I made from the coupon that I found. This paper's thinner, so it's easier. I can just tear it apart. And by the way, when you're making your texture of your pet, it doesn't have to be fringe. It could be curls. Let me show you how to curl the fringe. Now, you might want something thin. Let's see, I think I might have a paintbrush I can use to curl it. So if you want to curl your fringe, you take something thin like a brush, and you're going to roll that around slowly. See how I'm rolling and rolling? And then let's see what happens when I take it off. Then I have curls. See that? You can curl it more, or if it gets too tight, if the curls get too tight, you can uncurl it and flatten it back out. Alright, so there's how you curl it. That's going to come in handy in a little while. Alright, so let me move my stuff out of the way, some of my scraps. I'm going to glue everything to this black paper that I have. If you don't have like a big piece of paper to glue yours to, that's okay. But if you're going to use white, a lot of white for your fur or feathers, then you're going to need a darker background. You wouldn't want to glue white on white because then it's going to camouflage. Alright, so I'm actually going to need like a branch for what I'm making. So, luckily I have some brown construction paper, but you can use whatever you have to make this if you're making this along with me. Alright, so I need a branch, and I'm just going to tear it because I want to see how that looks. Let's see if I like that or not. Alright, so I need it to be, I'm wanting it to be more narrow. So this is thick, wide, and I want it to be more narrow or thin. So I'm going to fold it where I want it to be, I think. I think that'll help me get it more of the size that I want. Alright. And sometimes if you do a crease where you take your nails and you go like this and do a sharp edge, that'll help you tear it easier. Alright, so now I'm going to get my glue. Remember, when you're gluing, you need just a little, not a lot. Remove all my feathers. Oop, I just told you I'm using feathers. I don't know if I gave that away already. But I'm going to glue this down. This is going to be like a branch. And I think I want to do the other side as well. I want to tear it so it doesn't look so straight and perfect. Because we know in nature, everything's not perfect. A branch might be wobbly. It might be curvy looking. The fun thing about collages is nothing has to be just a certain way. It can be just how you want it to be. Well, really in art, that's how it is all the time, isn't it? Now, touch your lid to your paper. That way you draw a thin layer of glue. We don't want a lot, because then you're going to waste your glue. So I'm doing just a thin layer around the edges. You don't need to squeeze it out all in the middle. Alright, so I'm going to glue this down. This is where my pet is going to be on. It's going to be on a branch. And I think maybe I'll add some pieces out here to the edge. Going off the paper. You keep working and make yours just how you like it. Alright, so here's my branch. Next, I'm going to build the shape of what I'm making. So I'm going to start out, and I'm going to make the bottom part of my creature. And I'm going to work my way up. And first, I need yellow. I'm going to cut out these oval shapes out of my yellow paper, and I'm going to go ahead and fold it, so hopefully I'll get several at one time. Alright, let's see if this will be enough. So I have all these little ovals. I think I'm going to need at least 6, so I'm going to need to cut out a couple more. If you fold your paper several times, then you get more shapes, obviously. Alright, and these are a little bit smaller, but that's okay. I'm gonna make it work. Let's see if I have enough. Yep. Okay, so maybe, and it's always good to lay your paper, like arrange it how you're gonna glue it before you actually start gluing. That way, if you mess up, the paper's not already stuck on there. So this is what I want for the bottom. These are gonna be my feet. Got a little bit of something stuck there. So I'm going to add just a little bit of glue. If any of you know what I'm making yet, I've kind of given it away, sort of, a little bit of it. So there's one foot. It's amazing what you can do with scraps. You guys should start like a paper collection. When the mail comes, ask your mom and dad for the stuff they're going to throw away. And you can keep like a scrap folder or a scrap box. And that way you always have stuff to make. You always have material, paper, to make things you want to make. Alright, so I'm going to start out here. And I'm only going to put glue at the top of the fringe, the part that's stuck together. And I want it to come to about right here. And then I want some more on the sides because it's not quite wide enough. So I'm going to cut one of these in half. And I'm going to turn it a little bit because I want it to go at an angle. Alright, so there's my first row. Now I'd like to change it up and add maybe a little bit of color. I'm going to cut this apart at the top. And I don't want to cover up what I have below. I want to make sure and scoot up a little bit. And I'm going to make sure that I have enough paper to do this row. So I need to cut this apart. Another set. And this one's a little bit big, so I'm going to just pull it apart, and I think it'll be enough. There we go. Let me get my glue and turn this over and add a strip of glue across. Now, if any of the paper shows below, I can always go back and add more fringe. There you go. And now I'm ready for my next layer. Let me get some more fringe. Let's see, I think that'll almost be perfect. It might be a little big. It's okay if you overlap strips. Now this isn't a pet that I have, it's a pet that I wish I had. I've already got 3 dogs and fish, so I don't think I need any more pets. It's just, like I said, just one I wish I had. Sometimes we want stuff we don't actually need. Actually, a lot of times we do. Okay, so now I'm ready for my next layer. My next row, and can you guys tell that it's kind of going gradually in a little bit? I did that on purpose. When you're making your pet, I want you to think about the different lines you're using, the different shapes you're using while you're creating your form on your collage. Alright, so let me cut these apart. Now your collage doesn't have to look 3D like mine. It doesn't have to have things that kind of lift up. That's just what I'm wanting to do. Now, when you guys finish this project, I may start gradually adding more videos with different ideas that I've come up with. So come back and look under the assignment to see if I've added any extra videos. This will be like your last official lesson. And after today, I'm going to be sending just things that are just kind of simple and fun, and they won't be like actual assignments. They'll just be fun stuff for you to do at home. See if that'll work. Yep. Remember that the brown that I'm using is actually a pizza coupon. I know you guys get coupons in the mail. You just have to make sure your parents don't throw them away. Say, wait, I need that for my art project. Don't throw it away. No. Save it. Let's see, that looks about right. So I'm kind of holding it up and measuring. Gonna add just a tiny bit of glue. Let me scoot this down so you guys can see. Oh, I'm liking this so far. I need some more pizza coupon fringe. Let me cut more of this apart. Oh, I like this. I kind of like that for the sides, how it's got that little white line. I don't know though, let me see. Put this on here first. Hope you guys are still keeping up with your other schoolwork and taking care of yourselves. Making sure you get plenty of sleep. Oh, I changed my mind. I want to put that in the middle. There we go. Let's see. I think I'm going to switch it and make this like the white on the inside part. Let's do the other side. If you're having trouble putting the glue on your the parts, the little pieces that you're gluing on, you can always just put a little line on your background paper if it helps. Oh, see, I changed my mind. I'm going to change this up right here. If you don't wait too long, you can move stuff around even after it's got the glue on there. Okay, now I think I'm ready for my ears. I'm going to get another piece of the coupon, and I'm going to fold it in half 2 times. And I'm going to cut like an oval shape like I did for the feet. Have you figured out what I'm making yet? Okay, so that's pretty good. I think I like that shape. Now watch what I do. I'm going to cut a little slit, just a little one. See how I did that? Just a little line, a little cut. Then I'm going to take a little bit of glue and I'm going to overlap this little piece to the other side. See how that makes a 3D ear? Then I can put a little dot of glue and then press it on. And you only have to hold it for a few seconds. Remember how we count? 1 banana, 2 banana, 3 banana, 4. Let's see. I'll use this other piece for my other ear. It's a little crooked, but that's okay. Wait. Yeah, I can always trim it up a little bit. Alright, so we're going to do the same thing we just did. Cut a line, a vertical line. Add just a little bit of glue. I'm going to go ahead and put my glue dot here. I'm going to overlap my, and then I'm going to press down. And now I've got the beginning of the ears. Let's see. I think I want them to go turn out just a little bit. Let's make the eyes. This is so fun. I had some paper that I found that was blue. Y'all push pause. Let me get my blue paper I found. And I'm going to need 2 circles. So I'm going to fold this in half. I'm going to get my marker that I'm drawing with. Let me fold it the opposite way. That way I don't get ink on the blue side, the side I'm going to use. So right now I need like a circle that's about this big. If you're having trouble drawing circles, remember in class we would do a big curve that we would say was a frown, and then we'd do a smile. Okay, now I really only needed to draw 1 because when I cut this out, I'll have 2 already. Alright, let me cut off some of this extra. It'll be easier to do. Okay, so here's what I'm doing. Now, I think I want it a little bigger, so I'm not going to cut on the actual line. I'm going to try to leave an equal space all the way around the line that I drew. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect. Let's see if I like that. Let me move all this other stuff out of the way. Ooh, do you know what it is now? Does anybody? I think I want these a little smaller. So I'm going to put them back together. The reason I want to cut 2 at one time is because you want them to try to match. Usually on animals and people, each half is pretty much the same. Not always. Remember, if it's the same on both sides, it shows symmetry. Alright, so now I'm going to glue down my circles. I'm going to put these, look what I'm doing. I'm going to put these together so glue gets on both pieces. And then I'm going to glue them down. Oh, and now I need this middle part. I'm not even going to say what it is. I'm going to see if you know. And I want it to be yellow, so I get another yellow scrap piece of paper. I'm not sure this one's big enough. Let's see if I have any more. We'll see when I cut it out. Alright, so I'm going to cut the folded piece of paper so my shape matches on both sides. So the shape is symmetrical. And I think I like that, but I think I want to curve the top of it. So I fold it back, and I'm just going to do a little curved line. Yeah, I like that. And I'm going to put it in the middle. Do you know what it is now? Alright, so I've got my glue on there. Glue that down like that. Now I need black in the middle of the eyes. Let's see if I have any black paper. If I don't, I could always use my Sharpie. Oh, I found more feathers I might want to add. Okay, so I'm going to get a little black piece of paper I have and tear it. I'm going to fold it in half, and I'm going to cut a circle out. Actually, I'm going to cut out 2 circles because the paper's folded. Remember, when you're cutting something round, you want to turn the paper while you're cutting, or turn your scissors as you're cutting. Oh, I like that. Okay, so let me add some glue here. Man, I like my collage so far. I hope you're going to like your collage when you make yours. Alright, now we're still missing some wings, I think, on the side. Or the wings could even be going out. So, let's see what I can do. In brown, actually. Oh, this is fun. Let's do a little more glue. So, I want my wings to go out. So, I'm just going to draw straight on my paper a line that goes curved up. And I want it to match on the other side, but I don't want the glue to dry. So I'll go ahead and do this first, and then I'll do the other side. Oh, wow. Let's see, this is going to be a little too long, I think. So maybe I'll add a little bit like that. See how I'm curving it up? I'm going to add a little glue right here too, so this piece stays down. Alright, so let's see if I could add some more white. You know, I think I'm going to trim the white where it looks a little more curved. And that way it'll look more like a wing. Ooh, maybe I can still trim the paper that's on the, that I've already glued down. If not, I could probably pick it up. Remember, you can always fix stuff. So if you mess up, don't worry about it. Try your best and forget the rest. I think I want to put a little triangle right there. That way it looks more like a wing. And I know I'm going to need 2 because of the other side. So let me open this up and cut it, and I'll just cut it in half without opening it up. Alright, so let's put a little glue. Let's see if it, yep, that's what I want. Oh, I'm liking this so much. I hope you are. Let's do the other wing. So we started with the white. I'm going to copy the pattern from this side over to this side. And I see a feather I need to glue down right here. Do you know what it is yet? Put a little white piece here, and then I need a brown piece that I need to trim to match. Let's draw our line out like we did on the other one, on the other side. I've never made a creature like this. This is pretty fun. Alright, so now I need more white. And remember, I trimmed the other side. I probably should have done them, I probably should have made them together, but that's okay. Let's see, that'll work. And then I'll get my triangle that I had for the top. Oh, wow. Now, if you finish your creature and you want to do stuff in the background, you can do that. Like, I think a moon and stars would look nice on mine. I need to zoom out a little bit so you guys can see the whole thing. I need to lift up my camera. Let's see. You see it now? I bet you know what it is. It's an owl. I wish I had a pet owl. Since I've been at home, I've been watching videos of owls sometimes. I'm going to use my blue paper and make a blue moon. So on the back, I'm going to draw a frown. And then I'm going to draw a smile. Now I could do my moon like that. Or I could cut the blue paper up into little tiny pieces and make a moon that way. I'm going to count when I'm finished how many circles I have on my paper. And how many triangles. How many shapes I used to make my moon, to make my pet. I'm going to cut some of this off because it shows through. Remember, sometimes when you're drawing on paper that you're going to use in a collage, it might be better to draw with a pencil or crayon. So the Sharpie lines, see how the Sharpie line is kind of showing through right there? Now, if that doesn't bother you, don't worry about it. Now, I know my moon's not perfectly round, but I like it. So I'm going to go ahead and glue it down. Remember, just a tiny bit around the edges. Just a little, not a lot. I cannot wait to see what you guys make. There we go. I could add some green on my branch too. That might make it even more beautiful. Okay, so I'm back. I'm going to add some more details to my picture. I decided I wanted to add some stars and some green to the bottom of my branch. So I saved some green pieces over here that I cut out of a newspaper flyer, a grocery paper ad. And I'm going to use this to make a leaf down here on my branch to make my picture more interesting. So I'm going to cut an oval. There's one leaf. Let me get my glue. Alright, if you have more green, if I had more green, I'd add another leaf. Now let's do the stars. I could use dots, or I could actually cut out stars. And since the stars are going to be so far away, I'm just going to cut out little pieces. And I'm going to use just some of my fringe that I have left over. I'm going to put dots everywhere that I want a star. Dots of glue. If you had glitter glue at home, you could do that even. Your stars can be different colors, different sizes. I think that's enough. What do y'all think? I got a lot of stars in the sky. Alright, so I'm just going to cut little pieces off of my fringe. I could cut little circles if I wanted to. They don't have to be perfectly round because they're far away. They might even look like little squares. They're kind of hard to get apart. I may have to just cut several of them. I might cut a few more. So I'm folding my fringe, and some of this fringe has black on the back of it. So if I don't want that to show on my stars, I need to cut that off or flip it over. Boy, this stuff really sticks together. Just dropping it on the paper made it come apart. There's one that still has stuck to another piece. That's okay. They could be 3D stars, right? If you have a hole puncher, that would work good to cut out your stars if you're, if your pet's outside at night. I'm not even going to worry about them being perfect shapes. Perfect circles. There's a little rectangle shape. Here's a little trapezoid shape. Got a little triangle star. Things don't ever have to be just a certain way. What's important is that you make it the way you want and that you're happy with the results in the end, even if it turns out a little different than what you had planned. Sometimes that's the best part of art, is that very end when you're finished. It might not look exactly how you planned, but it's something that you made, and chances are you'll like it even better than what you planned. Wow, I've got rectangles, trapezoids. And I wasn't even trying to cut those shapes. That's pretty cool. Let's see what this is. It's another rectangle. Alrighty, I'm almost finished. I see a couple more dots of glue I need to put a little shape on. There we go. You probably already knew what it was, but it's an owl. Alright, bye for now. Okay, so I think I want to add a couple more details where I add feathers around the eyes, just little feathers. So I'm going to take some glue, and I'm just going to do a little bit of glue around this blue edge. Just a little bit around the blue eye. If you get too much, just wipe it off. Alright, so I'm going to take my fringe, and I'm going to cut these little pieces off, and I'm going to glue them around the edge. Let's see if these are too big. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, and I'm going to cut these lines a little bit thinner because it'll be easier to glue around the eye. Now I should have 2 layers in here that I can use. I'm going to open this up and separate the 2 pieces. I'm going to cut this vertically. Now if you're making an owl with me, you don't have to do this part. It just adds a little more detail, makes it a little more interesting. Alright, so open up your piece. It might be a little hard, just be patient. And I'm going to cut this vertically. So this makes this easy to move around and place around the edges. You'll have to hold it a couple seconds. You don't want to lose the circle shape, so try not to cover that up. If you're having trouble not making, if your fringe, the feathers, if they're covering up the circle, pull them off and cut them apart more and work with smaller sections. That way you don't lose the circle. I just think this adds a little more detail. You have to be super patient with yourself when you're doing this part. Okay, let's see if I have enough paper to do the other eye. I should have checked that first. Let me draw my circle. And it's okay if it overlaps. I might even take that part off. This is a little tricky. I can even glue these individual pieces on if I want. Let's see if I have some more small. May have to cut some more. I'd like it to match. Alright, so here's a little. Let's cut these a little shorter. Take this apart. Well, these feathers might be just a tiny bit longer, but that's okay. See, did I take that apart? And then I can always fill this in with individual little strips if I run out of fringe. I've got glue all over me. That's okay. We get messy in art sometimes, don't we? If you really want to make it fancy, you can add more and more feathers around in different places of your owl. Let me trim this little piece so it's not going in his eye or her eye. I can see spots where I should probably add a little more. Cut this off. kind of feel like I'm doing a puzzle here. Alright, so I like that better. I think it makes it look more feathery and more like an owl. If you want to kind of take your fingers and gently lift up some of these strips once it's dried, that'll also give it more of an owl look, more of a feathery look. Just be careful. Let's see, make them go up. I can take something round like we did earlier. Kind of curl them. Probably would have been better to curl them before I put them on, but just change things as you go until you get it the way you want it. See how I'm just lifting them up and rolling them a little bit? It's my final touches on my owl. My last details that I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to dump off some of my scraps so y'all can see the end. Let me lift up the camera. There's my owl. Let's talk about how I use the elements of art in my artwork. Alright, for shape, I've used shape everywhere in the picture. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 circles. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 oval-like shapes. I have 1 cylinder-like shape that splits off into 2 cylinder shapes from the branch. Now let's talk about form. Remember, form is 3D. So hopefully you can tell that my owl is 3D since some of the feathers pop up a little bit. We know that the branch is a 3-dimensional form. And we know, even though the moon only looks like a regular circle, we know that it's a 3-dimensional form. Alright, the only value that I really have in my artwork would be how these feathers have different cream colors and browns and beige colors in them. I show texture by including these feathers that go up. See how that creates like a texture? The same thing around the eyes. Color. How many different colors can you find? Let's see, we have blue. We have blue in the moon, blue in the eyes. We have a yellow beak. We have yellowish feet. We have a green leaf on our brown branch. And we've already talked about the different creams and browns. And we even have a little bit of red in our feathers. Oh, and don't forget the black eyes. I wanted to... Let's talk about how I use the elements of art in my artwork. Alright, for shape, I've used shape everywhere in the picture. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 circles. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 oval-like shapes. I have one cylinder-like shape that splits off into 2 cylinder shapes from the branch. Now let's talk about form. Remember, form is 3D. So hopefully you can tell that my owl is 3D since some of the feathers pop up a little bit. We know that the branch is a 3-dimensional form. And we know, even though the moon only looks like a regular circle, we know that it's a 3-dimensional form. Alright, the only value that I really have in my artwork would be how these feathers have different cream colors and browns and beige colors in them. I show texture by including these feathers that go up. See how that creates like a texture? The same thing around the eyes. Color. How many different colors can you find? Let's see, we have blue. We have blue in the moon, blue in the eyes. We have a yellow beak. We have yellowish feet. We have a green leaf on our brown branch. And we've already talked about the different creams and browns. And we even have a little bit of red in our feathers. Oh, and don't forget the black eyes. Space is how everything is arranged on the paper. So I planned in my mind where I was going to put everything in relation to all the other shapes. So I wanted the owls, I decided actually as I was working that I wanted the owls to go outward, the owl's wings to go outward in the space.